The Middle East is once again on edge, a region fraught with historical tensions and modern-day complexities. Israel and Hezbollah are locked in a bitter conflict, with both sides showing no signs of backing down. This latest round of fighting has raged for weeks, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. There has been a heavy cost in lives, with countless families torn apart by the violence. Many civilians are among the casualties, their lives forever changed by the ongoing strife. The international community is deeply concerned, calling for immediate action to halt the bloodshed. The United States is taking a leading role, leveraging its influence to mediate the conflict. Top diplomats are working around the clock, engaging in intense negotiations to find a resolution. Their mission: to broker a ceasefire that could pave the way for lasting peace. The goal is to stop the violence. Negotiations are intense, with every detail scrutinized. Both sides have deep grievances, rooted in decades of conflict and mistrust. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is personally involved, spearheading the diplomatic efforts. He is talking to leaders from both sides, seeking to bridge the divide. He is trying to find common ground, a challenging task given the deep-seated animosities. The US is pushing for a temporary ceasefire, a crucial first step towards de-escalation. This would give time for talks, allowing for a more comprehensive peace plan to be developed. A longer-term solution is the ultimate goal, one that addresses the root causes of the conflict. The situation is very fluid. There is cautious optimism, but also a recognition of the challenges ahead. But the risks are high, with the potential for further escalation always looming. A miscalculation could have disastrous consequences, making the need for careful diplomacy all the more urgent. There is a draft ceasefire agreement on the table. This document represents months of intense negotiations and diplomatic efforts. The United States has been instrumental in developing it. Their involvement has been crucial in bringing both sides to the negotiating table. It outlines a step-by-step process. Each step is designed to build confidence and ensure compliance from all parties involved. The first step is the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Lebanon. This is a significant move aimed at de-escalating the situation on the ground. Once the withdrawal is complete, the Lebanese army would take control. They would be tasked with maintaining order and security in the vacated areas. They would be responsible for security along the border. This is a critical measure to prevent any unauthorized incursions. This would help to create a buffer zone. The buffer zone is intended to act as a neutral area, reducing the risk of direct confrontations. It would prevent further clashes between Hezbollah and Israel. The history of violence between these two groups makes this step essential. The agreement also addresses the issue of prisoners. Both sides hold captives, and their release is a sensitive topic. The details are complex and require careful handling. But a mechanism for exchange or recovery is being discussed. This mechanism aims to ensure that all prisoners are accounted for and returned safely. The ceasefire is meant to build trust. Trust is the foundation for any lasting peace, and this agreement is a step in that direction. It would pave the way for more substantial negotiations. These future talks could address deeper issues and lead to a more permanent resolution. However, there are still major hurdles to overcome. The path to peace is fraught with challenges and opposition from various factions. The issue of Hezbollah's disarmament is particularly contentious. Israel insists on it, viewing it as a non-negotiable point for their security. They see Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. This label complicates negotiations, as it frames Hezbollah as an illegitimate actor. Hezbollah is unlikely to agree. They view themselves as a legitimate resistance movement, fighting for their rights and sovereignty. They see themselves as a resistance movement. This fundamental difference in perspective is a major obstacle to achieving a lasting peace. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has addressed the ceasefire proposal. He says Hezbollah is prepared to stop fighting, but only under certain conditions. First, Israel must lift its blockade of Lebanon. Hezbollah views the blockade as an act of war. They say it is crippling the Lebanese economy. Second, Israel must release all Lebanese prisoners. Hezbollah is a powerful force in Lebanon. They have a large and well-equipped militia. They also have significant political influence. Nasrallah's words carry weight. He is a skilled strategist. He knows how to play to his base. He is also a pragmatist. He knows that this conflict cannot continue indefinitely. Israel is wary of Hezbollah's demands. They see Hezbollah as a proxy of Iran. They believe Iran is using Hezbollah to destabilize the region. Israel has its own security concerns. They want guarantees that Hezbollah will not attack again. They also want to prevent Hezbollah from obtaining advanced weapons. Israel is particularly concerned about Hezbollah's missile arsenal. Hezbollah has thousands of rockets. They can reach deep into Israeli territory. Israel is demanding that any ceasefire include strong monitoring mechanisms. They want to ensure that Hezbollah is disarming. They are also seeking international pressure on Hezbollah. Section 5. Lebanon's humanitarian crisis deepens. The conflict is taking a heavy toll on Lebanon, with entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble and countless lives disrupted. The country is already facing an economic crisis, and the war has made a bad situation worse. Inflation is skyrocketing, and basic necessities are becoming increasingly scarce. Millions of Lebanese are suffering, struggling to make ends meet and provide for their families in these dire times. There are shortages of food, fuel, and medicine. Shelves in grocery stores are often empty, and fuel stations are running dry. The healthcare system is overwhelmed, with hospitals operating beyond capacity and healthcare workers under immense stress. The conflict has displaced hundreds of thousands of people, forcing them to leave their homes and seek refuge elsewhere. They are living in overcrowded shelters, often in makeshift conditions that lack basic amenities and privacy. The United Nations is providing humanitarian aid, but their resources are stretched thin. The situation is dire, and the need for assistance is growing every day. The international community is calling for an end to the fighting, with leaders urging for a ceasefire and peaceful resolution. They are urging both sides to show restraint and are also pledging more support for the Lebanese people. Diplomatic efforts are ongoing, but the road to peace remains uncertain. Section 6. Violence endangers ceasefire talks. Despite the diplomatic efforts, the fighting continues. Both sides are trading fire, and there have been civilian casualties on both sides. The violence is making it difficult to build trust. It is also raising fears of a wider conflict. The situation is very fragile. The international community is condemning the violence. They are urging both sides to respect the ceasefire talks. Section 7. The United States is trying to address Israel's security concerns. They are working with Hezbollah to establish clear rules of engagement. One proposal is to allow Israel to retaliate if attacked. However, the targets of any retaliation would be limited. This would prevent a major escalation of the conflict. The US is also trying to cut off Hezbollah's supply of weapons. They are imposing sanctions on individuals and entities that support Hezbollah. The US is walking a tightrope. They are trying to be an honest broker, but they are also a close ally of Israel. Section 8. The ceasefire talks are a positive step, but they are just the first step. A lasting peace will require much more. There are deep-rooted issues that need to be addressed. These include Hezbollah's weapons, Israel's occupation of Lebanese territory, and Iran's influence in the region. A comprehensive peace agreement will require difficult compromises from all sides. It will also require the support of the international community. The road to peace will be long and difficult, but it is the only way to break the cycle of violence.